Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and today we are going to be ranking all the McLarens. By the way, yesterday, the reason why I didn't upload was I still am feeling a little sick, and it hit me again, so I was just like, I can't do it. Let me do a bunch of work to line up a couple videos in the future instead, and so that's why I missed the day yesterday. I'm sorry for that, but either way, today we are going to be ranking all the McLarens. There are 18 McLarens out there, and this is not including the Spider versions of McLarens or the GT3 cars of McLaren. These are the production vehicles of McLaren. If I included all the Spiders, all the GT3 cars, everything that McLaren has ever built, period, this list would be like 50 cars, and it would never be able to get done, and it would be stupid because then you'd see like, oh, McLaren F1 GT3, McLaren F1 GTR GT3, McLaren F1 LM GT3. It would just be stupid to include all their like race car versions and all that stuff. So those two subcategories are not included. But either way, let's get right to the video with number 18. Coming in at number 18, coming in strong, is the McLaren GT. Yes, this is my least favorite McLaren. By the way, McLaren is one of my favorite car brands of all time, so any of these McLarens I would still love to own. I still love them. However, the GT is my least favorite. Okay, friend, okay. It comes with a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8. Get used to that name because there's going to be a lot of those in this list. And it makes 612 horsepower. It's also rear-wheel drive, but everything else about it absolutely sucks in terms of my opinion, okay? McLaren has this beautiful styling to their cars it's just so classic. It's like aggressive yet elegant at the same time. However, the GT, in my opinion, just goes strictly elegance, and I don't really like that about it, so that's why it's here at number 18. Coming in at number 17 is going to a car I didn't even know existed before making this video, the McLaren Artura. The Artura looks almost exactly the same as the McLaren GT, so that's why it's only one spot higher, but this one does make a little bit more horsepower. It is a hybrid engine, and it makes 671 horsepower, and it's rear-wheel drive. At this point in my car guy career, since there's electric cars out there now, I at least appreciate hybrids in a little bit because they at least have somewhat of a motor in them, so that's not really a downside to it anymore. It's just the looks. Once again, it just doesn't look anything special compared to like other McLarens that are out there, so that's why it's sitting here at number 17. Coming in at the number 16 spot, however, is going to the McLaren 570S. The 570S has a 3.8 liter twin turbocharged V8 making 562 horsepower, and it's rear-wheel drive. It actually looks a lot better than the Artura and GT for sure. It looks more like a McLaren is supposed to look like, but this is like the quote-unquote base model of McLarens in my opinion. 562 horsepower is still impressive, yes, but there are Corvettes out there that make that much, and if you're paying 300k for a McLaren, I would expect to have a little bit more horsepower than a Corvette, so that's why it's here at number 16. It's just not, it's cool looking, and it's still obviously a supercar, and I would still love to own a 570S one day, but in terms of comparison with the rest of the McLarens, 762 horsepower is nothing. Coming in at number 15 is the only classic McLaren out there that people don't talk about, and like I feel like nobody even knows exists, to be honest, but it is the M6 GT. This was obviously used as primarily just a race car and was never really seen on the streets, and yeah, I can kind of understand why people don't love it so much. It comes with a 5.7 liter V8 making 370 horsepower, and it's rear-wheel drive. Keep in mind, 370 horsepower back when it was built is very impressive, but it wasn't anything super special. Like the F1 obviously really cemented the McLaren name, and the F1 really put McLaren on the map. The M6 GT was McLaren's first model, yes, but it never really did anything super special. It was a race car, but it wasn't a very good race car. It was just an average race car, and obviously people forgot about it, and they forgot about it for a reason. Coming in at number 14 is going to the McLaren 650S. The 650S has a little bit of a bad time, because if it wasn't for the 600 LT, this car would be a lot higher on the list, but it just doesn't compare to that car anymore. Now that like I know the 600 LT is a thing, all these old like 570S, 650S, MP412C McLarens are just nothing compared to that car. Either way though, it comes with a 3.8 liter twin turbocharged V8 making 641 horsepower, and it's rear-wheel drive. This car's pretty much, to be honest with you, just a faster, better 570S. So it got 2 spots higher. Coming in at number 13 is what I would call the revival of McLaren, if that makes any sense, with the MP412C. The MP412C came out like a decent amount of time after the F1, and up until that point, McLaren had nothing in their lineup, and then the MP412C came out and was like restirred the pot and made people realize McLaren's still cool. It comes with a 3.8 liter twin turbocharged V8 making 616 horsepower in its rear wheel drive. This is a little bit slower than the 650S, and I actually like the 650S looks a little bit better than the MP412Cs, but the MP412 is just, it's iconic. It really did, in my opinion, refresh McLaren name and made them a name to be talked about again, even though the F1 did that a long time ago. I think the MP412C has its place at the number 13 spot. Coming in at number 12 is going to the McLaren Elva, which, if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, I did not know existed before I made this video, and I don't really care too much about it, to be honest. A lot of people love this car, and they like rave about it. I don't, man. It comes with a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8 making 804 horsepower in its rear wheel drive. That's obviously super impressive. 800 horsepower is insane, but the car also costs like $2 million, and it's one of those cars that like don't have a roof or windshield, and I hate those things. I think they look so ugly. It's just like a flat, like a pancake of a car, and I can't get over the looks. Like, yes, the horsepower is great, but also I watched Doug DeMuro's video on this car, and he said it sucks to drive too. Like, no thank you, man. I don't really want that. Coming in at number 11 is going to get me a lot of hate. People are going to roast me for this, but it's the McLaren Senna. I don't really get the hype behind the Senna, okay? I'm sorry. It comes with a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8 making 789 horsepower in its rear wheel drive. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I do know that the Senna is an incredible feat of technology, and the Senna is an incredibly fast hypercar that is amazing in terms of its performance. I get that. I don't like everything else about it, though. I think McLaren, like I said before, has a very good mixture of elegance plus sporty aggressiveness, and the Senna doesn't even look like a McLaren, in my opinion. It looks weird. It looks like a freaking, like, I don't know. It just doesn't look, it looks almost like a Pagani, like Zonda, in a way, if that makes any sense. And I just don't like it. I do like McLaren's hypercars. They usually knock it out of the park with their hypercars, but the Senna is just not it for me. Coming in at number 10, however, is going to one of their hypercars that are interesting, to say the least, with the McLaren Speedtail. The McLaren Speedtail is another hybrid. I think this is the only, yeah, it is the only other hybrid on this list. So there's only 2 hybrids made by McLaren, but the Speedtail is wild. It has 1035 horsepower, and it is rear wheel drive, and it's incredibly long, obviously. And in terms of its looks, I actually like it. A lot of people don't like the looks of the Speedtail. They think it's way too long, and they think it looks a little bit ridiculous. However, I do wish they used different wheels. I think the wheels look stupid on it. It looks really weird, really wacky, but everything else about it is obviously incredible. 1000 horsepower is insane. Yes, it's a hybrid, but that's still insane. I like the looks of it. I think it's a cool car. Coming in at number 9, however, is going to the wonderful McLaren 600LT. The 600LT is, in my opinion, what the MP412C, the 650S, the 570S were trying to do. It just knocked it out of the park. It comes with a 3.8 liter twin turbocharged V8 making 592 horsepower, and it is rear wheel drive. Now, 592 horsepower for a McLaren is actually not that impressive. It's not that great, but the car handles like a dream, and everything else about the car is perfect. It looks so cool. It has like a built-in roof scoop, so much more aggressiveness to it. Whenever there's an LT next to a McLaren's number, you know it's about to be a sick freaking car, and the 600LT lives up to that hype. It is beautiful. I love it. Give me one. Number 8, however, is going to the McLaren Senna GTR. I do really like the Senna GTR a lot more than the normal Senna. I think it looks a lot better. I think it's obviously more like towards something, and it comes with a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8 making 814 horsepower, and it is rear wheel drive. And like the Senna is like it looks super aggressive, yet you can still drive it on the streets, and it kind of just, I don't know, I can't really explain why I don't like the normal Senna that much, but the Senna GTR, I can explain why I do like that one. It knows what it's built for. It's built for the track, and it goes all out in being built for the track. So I kind of can like, I can understand why it looks so aggressive now, because the car is obviously specifically built to go around like a Nürburgring, and that makes sense to me. Coming in at number 7 is going to the wonderful 720S. The 720S being at number 7 shows how much of an insanely strong lineup McLaren has, because I love the 720S. I think anybody out there would agree with me on that. It is an amazing car, and it's only at number 7 on my list. Like, that's insane. It comes with a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8 making 710 horsepower in its rear wheel drive. I know it's a little weird they named it the 720S and it makes 710 horsepower. I don't know why they did it either, but either way, it is unbelievably cool. Everything about the 720S is cool. I also don't think there's another supercar out there that you can buy with 700 horsepower for the price that a 720S is. It looks unbelievable, beautifully built car, but there is just so much better that McLaren has to offer yet still. And even though there's literally nothing wrong with the 720S, there's still 6 cars better than it. Coming in at the number 6 spot is going to the base model McLaren F1. I am going to be including the F1 GTR and F1 LM, so do not worry, this is not the last time we're going to be seeing the F1 line. But no, the McLaren F1 is still to this day the fastest in terms of top speed, naturally aspirated production car in the world. It comes with a 6.1 liter V12, making 610 horsepower in its rear wheel drive. That motor was actually built by BMW, which is really cool. Shout out to BMW. I love BMW so freaking much. And the McLaren F1 still to this day is just timeless. It was built in the 90s, but looks like it's brand new. It is gorgeous. Everything about the car is gorgeous. Hearing it drive down the road, it sounds like it just wants to go so fast. It's such a good car. God bless the McLaren F1. Coming in at number 5, however, is literally just the McLaren F1, but better in every way besides looks, in my opinion, with the McLaren F1 GTR. It comes with the exact same motor, a 6.1 liter V12, except now it makes 900 horsepower, and it is rear-wheel drive. This car is not street legal. You can't drive it on the roads, although people do obviously drive it on the roads. They have enough money to buy one of these cars. They have enough money to work their way around the law, but it is unbelievably fast and incredibly, it's like the ultimate F1 McLaren that ever was built. However, I just don't like the looks. I think it's a little bit too long. The Speedtail is long, and I like the looks of that, but the McLaren F1 GTR, I just don't think it works as well as the Speedtail does. But either way, it's such an incredible car. Coming in at number 4, however, is going to the McLaren P1 LM / GTR. We're going to include both the LM and the GTR P1 here instead of putting them in different spots because they are pretty damn similar. They come with a 3.8 liter twin turbocharged V8, and the GTR makes 986 horsepower in its rear wheel drive. That's incredible. I'm not going to try and knock it for how super fast it is, and it is one of the best performance McLarens out there, but I actually do like the McLaren P1 base model a lot better. The McLaren P1 base model has such elegant design to it while it still looks very aggressive, and the McLaren P1 LM GTR kind of takes the elegance away and just goes all out aggressive. I obviously still freaking love this car since it's number 4 on my list. It is still an incredible car, but I just like the normal P1 a little bit better. Coming in at 3rd place, however, is going to the McLaren 765 LT. I want to talk about the 765 LT by starting a story. I always loved the 720S. It's always been one of my favorite supercars ever built. McLaren in general has always been one of my favorite supercar brands. This is the only time that I actually got excited when a supercar was released. When I saw the 765 LT advertisement, I was actually excited, even though I knew I would probably never be able to actually own one day. And I don't think I've ever experienced that with another supercar. I've obviously experienced it with JDM cars, when the Supra came out, the 400Z came out, all that stuff. I was excited when those came out, but the 765 LT is the only supercar that when there was an advertisement for it, I was actually excited and looking into the car and was super invested in it. It only comes with a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8 making 755 horsepower, and it is rear wheel drive, but it just looks so much better than the normal 720S. It handles a lot better than the normal 720S, and it is a little bit faster too. Coming in at 2nd place, however, I'm losing breath here because I did not understand how big of a list 18 cars was going to be. But number 2 is the F1 LM. I think the F1 LM is everything that makes the normal F1 cool, but better in every single way possible. So it's here number 2. The F1 is an incredible car. It comes with the same motor, a 6.1 liter V12, except this one makes 671 horsepower and it's rear wheel drive. So not only does it make a little bit more horsepower, but it adds this little spoiler, a little front lip, new wheels, and little side skirts to it, and they lower it a little bit more to make it look even more sporty than the normal F1. And it works. It absolutely works. The F1 GTR, they added all that stuff to it to obviously make it aerodynamically better. But I personally like the F1 LM looks a lot better. It's an incredible car. If I ever make $30 million, I'm buying one of these. But I'm sure you guys could have guessed what number 1 was going to be based off of all the other cars. My favorite McLaren, and probably my favorite car of all time besides the RX-7 FD, is the McLaren P1. The McLaren P1 is incredible, everything about it. The performance is great. It comes with a 3.8 liter twin turbocharged V8 making 903 horsepower in its rear wheel drive, which is obviously absolutely incredible. It's part of the trifecta too, that wonderful trio that everybody was talking about when they all came out, the Ferrari LaFerrari, the Porsche 918 Spider, and the McLaren P1. And it is just incredible. It is my favorite supercar of all time, one of my second favorite car of all time besides the FD RX-7. It is unbelievably beautiful, unbelievably well in terms of performance. I genuinely think, like, every single car I've ever looked at in my entire life, I look at it and I say to myself, I could make that look cooler. I don't think I could do that with the P1. I really don't. Lowering it with wheels, I don't even think it is nice enough to do to the P1. I think it is just perfect. Everything about it is perfect. I love it so much. P1 easily is my number one. Obviously, it's not like the actual best McLaren ever built, but it is my favorite, so it's number one. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of ranking every single McLaren ever freaking built. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment down below what your top 5 favorite McLarens are. James, I'm looking at you, James. All right, comment down below what your favorite 5 McLarens are. Also, let me know what other car brands you'd like to see me rank next. I would absolutely do some. If you guys are going to tell me to rank like Toyotas, though, understand that I will do that. Absolutely, I want to do that. But I'm going to have to come up with some sort of disclaimer or something to make it a little bit easier, because I'm not going to go through every single Toyota, every single generation of every single Toyota ever built. So, gonna have to figure something out there. Maybe I will do all of them, and I'll just, like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see down below. Das Vidania. Have a nice night.